table. Seed dressing is underway. So basically how this works is the wheat we loaded yesterday is going through that lorry and the seed is cleaned and then dressed with the chemical. So the smaller seeds, any rubbish like chaff and bits of straw, that sort of thing, they end up in the yellow trailer. That leaves you with a nice bold clean sample, which then gets coated in the chemical and ends up in your seed bags. Each bag sits on its own weigher, so they're half-ton bags. Once they get to 500 kilos, you can just pull that rope hanging in the middle there, switch them round onto the next one, while I go and put the full one on the trailer. Absolutely flying through it this morning. It was a nice sample, the wheat that I loaded. It was the nicest, boldest, cleanest sample I had, so it's not taking too much cleaning. But yeah, we are flying along. Over halfway through already, so should be done nicely, I reckon, for about lunchtime. Slightly different approach angle on this one. He got the bag the wrong way around, so I had to come in from the side. We should be dressing up in the region of 20 tons of seed, but he's just given me the 1,000 grain weight. The 1,000 grain weight is 51 grams. So basically that means 1,000 grains weighs 51 grams. From that, I can calculate how much seed I need, because instead of going on a planted weight, which used to be the norm, say you'd plant 150 kilograms a hectare or 200 kilograms a hectare, tend to do that now on seeds per metre squared. If you've got a high 1,000 grain weight like we have here, you could end up being closer to 200 seeds a metre squared than you are 300, which isn't going to do you any favours in getting a crop established exactly how you want it. So I've just used the Agri Online seed rate calculator. So you basically put in that the plant population that you want to achieve, and then in your germination percentage, estimated field losses and 1,000 grain weight, and the area that you want to drill with your seed tonnage, and that then works out exactly how much you need. So these are all theoretical sort of estimated figures at the minute, because they will change if drilling gets delayed or conditions are poorer than expected or any of that sort of thing. So basically I was expecting to be in the region of 20 tons dressed today, and I think I'm going to do 21-22 tons. I think I've got enough in the trailer. As I said, the seed is quite bold, so that puts the seed rate up a little bit anyway, and that should leave me a couple of 3 tons in hand, just in case I need to raise the seed rates for any reason. I'd much rather have a couple of tons of this in hand than I would trying to get some ordered later on if things change and I need a bit more. I've definitely noticed in quite a few different scenarios that higher seed rates are more beneficial than trying to cut back on seed. Plus I am hoping to get set up with a variable seed rate on the drilling this season, in which case I might need a little bit more to play with anyway. Well, that's that job sorted. Nice big trailer full of seed. And some before and after samples. Should have a lorry waiting for me at the other yard now, which needs to be loaded up with some more seed to go away on a contract. There's another one away. Ah, oh, this is typical, isn't it? No rain forecast. Everything's sat outside still, isn't it? Seed, trailers with wheat in. I think it's going to blow over pretty quickly though, hopefully. Right, another lorry coming in an hour. The remainder of that needs to go in there so that this left in the shed that can go in the lorry trailer and then be tipped in the main grain store. That has been sat outside for a couple of hours in the wind and sun now, so I'm going to chuck that in the shed under cover because it looks very much like we're going to get another shower come through sometime in the next hour. And I've got another lorry to go and load. That will do nicely. Chuck the lorry in here as well. So I don't think I'm going to get a chance to come back up and sort that out tonight. Deal with that in the morning. There we go. Right on cue, it's just started spitting again. That'll do. Simba's back on today. Let's see how these reinforced points, or reinforced legs hold up. Hopefully, no more snapping. Couple of spares on board. Never be too careful. I know what you're thinking. How's that subsoiler leg doing? It has held up a treat. Look at that. Like a professional repair. Absolutely spot on. Beauty. I knew that 10mm plate would over-engineer it a treat. That's what you need, isn't it? You can't mess around in those situations. Go big or go home. That's done about 120, 150 acres, something like that, on our heaviest land. And it's not even moved an inch, not even a millimetre. Lovely old job. Down to the dregs. Well, cultivations are certainly still being very difficult, as evidenced by the contents of the back of the pickup truck. Had a bolt go, which goes through the springs on the tine assembly, as you can see here. There he goes. Hopefully we can get a few acres under our belt with that now. Once that's out the way, we'll get back on the boys' land, can't we? And hopefully we'll be alright then. Puts a hell of a lot less strain on everything. Cultivation update. This morning we had 6 or 7 mil of rain, which wasn't enough to do anything really. Just had a look on some of the heavy land locally and you can hardly tell we've even had any. However, there's quite a good band of rain now coming in. If we're lucky, we might get another up to 10 mil out of that, which actually might do some good. But for the meantime, we have just come back to the boys' land because we carried on that field, finished up filming on yesterday, and just didn't go very well. The reinforced legs, spot on. Guess what happened though? They found somewhere else to break. The points started breaking off of the point holders on the bottom of the tines instead of the tines breaking. So onto the boys' land. Just going to go over there and have a little look. I think there's a broken bale that needs sorting out as well, but that's going well as far as I can see from the road. Yeah, this is going rather a bit nicer than the heavy land. No trouble there, have we? Just clearing up a broken bale here. Imagine how much more simple life would be if we were allowed to stubble burn again. Imagine the reduction in input costs. No blackgrass, I'd imagine. Probably less disease carried through from the residue of the previous crop. Cultivations would just probably just one pass on most places. None of that extra pass to mix in all the straw and stubble. Not having much luck with this rain at the minute. We've had, in the last 7 days, I think we've got about a total of 10-11 mil on the weather station, but it just keeps coming in 1 or 2 mil dribs and drabs here and there, and it's blowing a gale in between, and the sun's usually out as well, so that's just not enough to even touch the sides. It's dried up and disappeared before it's got any time to soak into the soil. The rain we had yesterday while I was getting rid of that bale looked like we were going to be right in the middle of a really good band of rain coming through, and about 2 mil out of it. So still struggling on that side of things a bit at the minute. However, in the meantime, I'm just going to go and check on a tractor that we've just had a job done to, the old TM165. The suspension's been playing up on that and got to a point where it wasn't working at all on the front axle, so it's been sat overnight for about 24 hours now since it was recalibrated and a couple of things sort of cleaned up valves wise and hopefully sorted it out. So I'm going to have a look at that, see if that's still up and hasn't sunk down again. The load of wheat that I loaded out of the shed I'm about to go to, I'm going to get that tipped in the main grain store, and hopefully if everything goes to plan I'm going to get the potato harvester hooked up. Well, this is looking promising. So Mel left us a bit of string on the front here, and it is still hovering just above the ground, so it doesn't look like the suspension's sunk overnight. And here, this is the well, bump stop, I guess, if you will. And when it wasn't working, the gap there was virtually non-existent, so that's certainly a good start. I've got a trailer I need to get out of the way in the other grain store. It's got a little bit of barley left on it, which I'd save for the ducks, so I'm going to go and take this down there, give it a little test run down the road, see if a bit of use plays it up or not. Get that trailer out, probably tip that into a grain bucket and go and spread that, because I'll need that trailer for the dirty muck. I'll need that for the muck off of the grader when we're doing spuds. Use that as our muck trailer. We've got a feed or two left in there. We'll end up clearing that out on the next go round, giving the ducks a feed up, I think. Not too much left in there. lovely amount of wild ducks on there. You know full well the first day we come and shoot it, that'll be the day we come up here and there's no wild ducks on it. But we keep our fingers crossed. Keep it well fed, should be alright. So this is the main grain store. You might have seen in an earlier video setting it up pre-harvest. We can get between 900 and 1,000 tonnes in here if it's really rammed full. We've got these five drying ducts. Got some big old Kongskill blowers that blow into them, and then gas heaters if we need them for drying. This is actually the 4th harvest now where we haven't had to dry any wheat, unbelievably. That started in 22 harvest, which was the really hot dry harvest, and we've somehow managed to get it all in dry since. So that's worked out nicely, saved us several quid on gas and electric. 25 tonnes just about, 24.5, 25 tonnes on that trailer. So that was what I had left in the other shed after we had our harvest contract go out, which was 377 tonnes. Off the combine I put about 370 in there from what the combine said, so when I get a chance I'll add up the weights of the loads. I should have them back now. Add that 25 tonnes onto it, and that'll give me a reasonable idea of how the combine was reading in terms of yield, and I can adjust accordingly if I need to, just to get a nice accurate representation of what we've got left in store. I think I'll just wiggle this under cover while I'm waiting for that. I reckon I dare leave that for 5 or 6 minutes. Famous last words. One day I'll make a nice little stand for this old dump trailer, or I'll just forget about that until the time I use it again, which is a couple of times a year. That has come down a bit since earlier, but it was quite close to the top of its travel, so it's probably sitting in a more normal position now for having no weight on the front or anything like that, so we'll keep an eye on that. I'm not 100% convinced that it is fixed, because there wasn't any new parts or anything put on it, but we'll see. If not, we'll have to try something else, won't we, I guess? 4.5 tonnes. That is not half as bad as I was expecting it to be in there. A little bit of grain stuck, but I thought it was going to be much worse than that, because we had that shower of rain go through it when we were getting the wheat seed dressed. Alright, chuck this around the back out of the way, and tomorrow I'm going to get on with cleaning down the potato harvester and doing a few servicing bits to that. We'll be starting potatoes in about 2.5 weeks time hopefully, so we'll get that ready now. And we're going to go back and have another go at that field that we were struggling in, because it has had some rain on it, and it looks like the most rain it's going to get on it really in the next week or so. There's nothing very concrete in the forecast for any more. Plus that field did have potentially a handful more millimetres of rain on it. Looking at some weather stations over that direction, so you'll probably also bear witness to me fixing something else on the cultivator as well, but hopefully not. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you so I can reverse this trailer without crashing into something. If you've enjoyed the video, do feel free to give me a subscribe and a like on the video, it'd be much appreciated. And join me for the next one, which will probably be me doing some frustrating jobs on the Grimmy potato harvester. See you there.